Welcome to Literary Insights. This is the summary of the book. This book may save your life. Everyday Health Hacks to Worry Less and Live Better, Dr. Karen Rajan. If you like this content, please consider subscribing and liking this video. The author is a surgeon who has witnessed both amazing medical successes and tragic losses over his career. Through his work, he has come to appreciate both how amazing the human body is, as well as how fragile it can be, and how many things can go wrong. The book aims to provide an entertaining yet educational guide to the human body, exploring both how it works and how it can fail us. The author became interested in medicine after witnessing his cousin collapse from a ruptured appendix as a child. This opened his eyes to how vulnerable the body is. Through medical school and training as a surgeon, he has gained a hands-on understanding of anatomy and physiology, but also comes to see the human body as somewhat disastrously designed. His experience in surgery revealed to him how interconnected different body systems are and how issues in one area can affect others. The body works as a fragile system rather than a collection of independent parts. The book will explore each major body system in turn, but with a focus on both their functions and vulnerabilities based on the author's surgical experiences. The passage compares doctors to plumbers and argues that plumbers have saved more lives through modern sanitation and sewage infrastructure. A functioning water system is critical for public health and prevents diseases like cholera. While doctors and plumbers may seem like different professions, they are linked when it comes to upholding health. The human body is described as a complex tower block with plumbing, drainage pipes, tenants, and secret passages, just like a building. Most people would need a plumber to understand the tangle of systems in the body. As doctors, the author sees their role as similar to a plumber, keeping the internal tubing and plumbing of the body in good working order. Issues with the plumbing can have life-threatening consequences, just as plumbing problems in buildings need to be addressed quickly. The passage emphasizes the importance of maintaining the workings of the human body. Humans begin as an indented orifice, blastopore, in embryonic cells that will develop into the anus. We are all essentially assholes in our earliest form. The gut tube develops through intricate folding into distinct structures like the stomach, intestines, liver, etc. Errors can lead to birth defects. The digestive system acts like plumbing, with tubes, valves, and appliances to break down food for energy and waste removal. It is actively preparing even before eating by secreting enzymes and acids. As fetuses, we are parasitic, getting nutrients via umbilical cord until birth requires independent digestion. The enteric nervous system and gut microbiome influence hunger, fullness, and even emotions to some degree. Trillions of microbes colonize the gut and significantly impact human health and development. The relationship between gut and host is complex and symbiotic. In summary, the passage describes the intricate early development of the human digestive system, how it functions like complex plumbing, and the important role of the gut microbiome in human health and identity. The gut microbiome refers to the trillions of bacteria that inhabit the human digestive tract. This microbial community is critical for human health and development. Anton van Leeuwenhoek was one of the first to observe microbes like bacteria in the 17th century using early microscopes. He made important early discoveries about bacteria in dental plaque and other bodily fluids. Modern research has established that the gut microbiome plays a vital role in immune function, metabolism, brain development, and more. It aids in food digestion and produces nutrients from foods we cannot break down. Maintaining a diverse, fiber-rich diet supports a balanced gut microbiome. Probiotics, prebiotics, and fermented foods promote microbial diversity and health. Excess red meat and ultra-processed foods can disrupt the microbiome. The gut-brain axis means the gut microbiome communicates bidirectionally with the central nervous system via neurotransmitters and molecules, influencing human behavior and physiology. Overall, the gut microbiome is a complex but critical microbial organ that helps define human health and identity. The passage discusses the digestive system and describes it as a twisting tube of foreignness that humans wrap themselves in. It expresses a desire to cleanse and purify oneself from all the smells, sounds, and visual aspects associated with digestion that can be horrifying. It talks about exploring the various organs and structures that make up the digestive tract, from the mouth down through the esophagus, stomach, small intestine, colon, and rectum. Various comparisons are made between these parts and household appliances like garbage disposals, washing machines, and laundry detergents to describe their functions. The role of bacteria, enzymes, and other secretions in breaking down food is discussed. The colon is described as the final rinse and dry cycle, where bacteria ferment and break down foods to release nutrients before waste exits through the rectum. In summary, the passage uses vivid language to describe the digestive system and various processes involved in breaking down and extracting nutrients from food as it passes through the gastrointestinal tract. It expresses a desire to purify oneself from the associated functions and byproducts of. Here is a summary of the key points about why a blocked airway is dangerous. Even brief shortages in oxygen supply to the brain can be deleterious, harmful. When someone's airway is blocked, their body will reflexively thrash around in a desperate attempt to clear the obstruction and breathe. This spluttering, coughing, and gagging shows how critically important it is to have an open airway. A blocked airway cuts off the critical oxygen supply to the brain and other organs. Within minutes, this can lead to loss of consciousness, brain damage, or even death if not resolved. It is therefore extremely important to quickly respond if someone is choking and help clear their airway through methods like back blows, abdominal thrusts, or the Heimlich maneuver. Even a few minutes without oxygen can have serious consequences. In summary, a blocked airway is a medical emergency because it prevents oxygen from reaching the brain and organs, which can cause injury or death if not addressed right away. The body's distressed response underscores how vital it is to have a clear airway for breathing. Quick first aid is crucial when someone is choking. The passage discusses various aspects of the digestive system. It starts by describing how the liver, gallbladder, and pancreas play key roles in digestion. The gallbladder stores and releases bile produced by the liver to help break down fats. Gallstones can sometimes form and block bile ducts, causing painful inflammation. The pancreas helps digestion by producing enzymes. It then discusses potential issues like pancreatitis caused by gallstones blocking pancreatic enzymes. Removal of the gallbladder is often needed to treat recurring gallstone problems. The appendix may help replenish good bacteria in the gut after illnesses like diarrhea. The small intestine absorbs around 90% of nutrients from food over 6 hours. The large intestine reabsorbs water before waste exits. Over a lifetime, the intestines process around 11,000 kilograms of feces. In summary, it provides an overview of digestive organ functions and some common digestive issues that can arise. The patient had abdominal swelling and hollow sounds, suggesting a possible sigmoid volvulus condition where the sigmoid colon twists. This requires prompt treatment to untwist it and prevent injury. The doctor assessed the patient and was told to insert a flatus tube to help gas and waste pass through the colon. They had never done this procedure before. They watched YouTube videos to learn, then inserted the tube. Initially, nothing happened, but then the patient squealed in pain as gas hissed out loudly. Suddenly, brown liquid sprayed out, hitting the doctor. Their registrar walked in at that moment and mocked the doctor for not attaching a bag to collect waste before insertion. He also reminded them of the rule to always point tubes away from oneself to avoid being sprayed. The doctor was left traumatized by the experience in their nice clothes. So in summary, it describes a junior doctor's first attempt at inserting a flatus tube to treat a possible bowel blockage, which went badly wrong when waste sprayed back out all over their clothes, much to the amusement of their supervisor. Fecal matter can provide insights into health and potential digestive issues. Certain changes in color, consistency, or frequency could indicate underlying problems. Clay-colored stools suggest a lack of bile production, possibly from a blocked duct. Dark blood in stool indicates possible bleeding somewhere in the digestive tract. Persistent diarrhea for weeks may signal intestinal inflammation, infection, or cancer. Floating, greasy stools could mean a lack of fat digestion from pancreatic issues. Constipation persisting for several weeks, especially if unusual, could be a red flag for colon cancer or other health problems causing disruption. However, constipation alone is rarely a diagnosis and may be due to diet, hydration, or other factors. By observing stool characteristics and comparing to the Bristol stool chart, one can gain clues about digestive health and when medical evaluation may be prudent due to noticeable changes from normal habits. Fecal analysis provides a useful, non-invasive way to monitor for potential issues. Here is a summary of the key points about the brain. The brain consists of about 100 billion neurons that communicate via electrical and chemical signals. It weighs around 1.3 kilograms, but uses 20% of our energy. While only 2% of our body weight, the brain is responsible for critical functions like breathing, digestion, as well as higher thinking, like art, poetry, etc. During medical school, the author's first experience with a human brain showed it was heavier than expected. Dead brains feel slippery like cauliflower, while live brains have a softer consistency. The brain is divided into left and right hemispheres, joined by the corpus callosum. While some functions are lateralized, the hemispheres work together, and the idea of being strictly left-brained or right-brained is an oversimplification. The brain named itself through evolution, yet has flaws like poor sleep habits and distracted easily. Overall, it manages our complex lives but wasn't designed for modern technologies specifically. In summary, the passage provides an overview of the brain's structure, functions, common misconceptions, and limitations, despite its crucial role in human existence. The author's experience in medical school helps shed light on its real properties. The two brain hemispheres constantly communicate and work together, not independently. While split brain experiments have provided insights, reality is more complex than simplistic notions of left versus right brain dominance. The brain is always active across its entire structure. There is no unused potential to unlock. Each person's brain functions as well as it can, given its structure and experience. Studies of brain injury patients have revealed surprising outcomes, from increased intelligence to living normally without much of the brain. The brain's complexity remains mysterious. Famous patient Phineas Gage's accident gave insights after his personality dramatically changed from damage to his frontal lobe. He eventually regained old skills. Brain injuries generally only cause impairments, so avoiding them is wise. Emergency rooms see many brain-related cases from assaults, falls, accidents. One described case involved a severe brain hemorrhage found via urgent scans, highlighting the brain's importance and fragility. Effective treatment depends on speed to address life-threatening pressures. In summary, the brain remains the most complex system, but can be surprisingly resilient. While split brain studies and injury cases provide learning, our full understanding remains limited given the challenges of studying consciousness and intelligence directly. Avoiding brain damage is advisable when possible. The passage discusses head injuries and their effects on the brain, including concussions from contact sports. While some head injuries are violent, many low-grade repeated injuries can also cause issues over time. It describes the condition known as CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, which is associated with repetitive traumatic brain injuries. This has been seen in boxers, dementia pugilistica, and other contact sport athletes due to repeated low to moderate impacts. Concussions, even mild ones, can cause neuronal damage and increase the risk of dementia. Studies have shown more concussions lead to worse cognitive function over time. This may be due to interference with the brain's natural washing process that clears waste. The passage advises to protect the head from impacts, as repeated minor impacts can still have detrimental effects on brain health and function over the long run, similar to how minor repeated impacts to other body parts like the genitals are not tolerated. In summary, it discusses how repeated minor head injuries through contact sports can lead to chronic neurological conditions like CTE due to cellular damage and interference with the brain's processes, even if the individual impacts seem minor. Protecting the head from repeated impacts over time is recommended. The passage discusses ways to improve brain efficiency and extend the warranty of the brain. It likens the brain to an operating system that can get bogged down from multitasking and lack of focus. Some tips include focusing on one task at a time rather than constantly switching attention, as multitasking leads to reduced productivity and higher error rates. Background music may help by occupying the unconscious attention and blocking out distractions. Working in 90-minute intervals, aligned with the body's ultradian rhythm, can optimize performance and match natural energy fluctuations. Cognitively stimulating activities like learning a new skill or language can help keep the brain engaged and stretched as cognitive decline begins in the early 20s. Musicians may be less prone to dementia. Continuing to manually do simple tasks rather than rely on automation preserves brain function long-term. Learning stimulates memory, coordination, and other skills. So in summary, the passage provides ways to efficiently use the brain in the present and also extend its useful life through challenging and engaging it over time. Evidence suggests speaking more than one language can be beneficial. It potentially provides cognitive advantages and maintains brain health. Maintaining good physical and mental activity is important for brain health as we age. Exercise strengthens cognitive abilities and can help prevent decline. Social interaction is also important for staving off issues like dementia. Retirement should not mean withdrawing from activity and stimulation. Staying engaged socially and mentally through hobbies or work helps maintain cognitive reserve and reduces health risks associated with retirement. Stress from overwork or lack of self-care can negatively impact the brain and health. Regular exercise, good sleep habits, relaxation techniques like deep breathing or cold water splashing can help manage stress levels. The brain still holds many mysteries. Ancient practices like trepanation or drilling holes in the skull were used to treat various ailments, and techniques like awake brain surgery are still used today with more precision. Understanding of pain has also evolved, but chronic pain remains challenging to manage. Overall, maintaining an active lifestyle benefits brain health. Here are the key points this summary addresses. Pain is primarily perceived and experienced in the brain, not at the site of injury. The brain processes sensory signals from injured tissues and combines this with other factors like memories and emotions to create the experience of pain. The brain can modulate pain signals, either amplifying or dampening pain perception. Emotional state, focus, distraction, and even placebos can influence this pain modulation system. Simple techniques like looking away from an anticipated painful stimulus can reduce pain by taking attention away from the site of injury. However, chronic pain is not as easily influenced since the source is not clearly visible, anticipated. The brain plays tricks on our perceptions. Feelings like cold, wetness, etc. are illusions constructed by the brain from various sensory inputs, not direct detections. The brain filters and edits our sensory experience to only present what's important. So in summary, it focuses on how the brain, not just injuries, plays a central role in pain perception and experience. And our perceptions in general are constructed illusions from brain processing of multiple sensory signals. Understanding this can help manage acute pain through modulation, but chronic pain may require other approaches. The passage discusses the human brain and how it makes predictions and prepares actions before sensory input is received, in order to avoid threats like an incoming ball. It notes potential advances as artificial intelligence progresses. The brain's flaws are acknowledged, but it's hoped humans and machines can work together to enhance capabilities. It then describes how flushing a toilet without the lid closed can spread fecal particles in the bathroom. Next, it discusses the heart as the first organ to develop and its tireless pumping of blood. However, modern lifestyles and bad habits can lead to plaque buildup and heart disease, a major killer. The human heart has a poor blood supply system compared to other animals. Exercise is recommended as it causes nitric oxide release, keeping arteries smooth and wide to improve blood flow. The drug Viagra was originally developed for angina, but had the side effect of causing erections, leading to its use for erectile dysfunction. Improved blood flow from exercise can help both heart health and erectile function. Sprinting provided the origins of the marathon distance. Scientists are investigating the effects of extreme exercise on the heart. Ultramarathon runners and other extreme endurance athletes can develop heart rhythm issues and heart damage over time due to the stress placed on the cardiovascular system. Intense training can cause the heart walls to thicken excessively, which in some people with a genetic condition called hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy, OCM, can restrict blood flow and cause sudden cardiac arrest. HOCM is surprisingly common. Performing early CPR and defibrillation can potentially save lives during cardiac arrest. However, movies and TV portray misleadingly high success rates of CPR. In reality, survival rates after out-of-hospital cardiac arrests are often in the single digits. The left atrial appendage, a small pouch originating from the heart, can cause strokes by allowing blood clots to form within it, especially in people with irregular heart rhythms. This appendage may be responsible for about a quarter of all strokes. Here's a summary of the key points about atrial fibrillation and its risks. Atrial fibrillation is an irregular heart rhythm that is common in older adults. With an irregular rhythm, blood can pool in the left atrial appendage. Over time, the blood in the left atrial appendage can form clots. These clots can then travel to the brain and cause a stroke. The left atrial appendage is sometimes seen as a menace because it provides a place for blood clots to form during atrial fibrillation and then travel to other parts of the body, potentially causing serious problems like strokes. While it normally serves no purpose, the left atrial appendage's role in harboring clots that can lead to strokes has potentially deadly consequences, making it a medical curiosity. In summary, the passage describes how the left atrial appendage, while usually harmless, can become problematic during atrial fibrillation by providing a place for dangerous blood clots to form that increase the risk of strokes if they dislodge and travel to the brain. The appendage is portrayed somewhat negatively for this potential risk it poses. Cholesterol, LDL, is often called the bad cholesterol and is linked to increased risk of cardiovascular disease. Higher levels of HDL and lower levels of LDL are associated with better heart health. Triglycerides are a type of fat in the bloodstream that provide energy. Elevated triglyceride levels from a sugar-rich diet or sports drinks can increase heart disease risk if not balanced with exercise. In moderation, they serve an important purpose. Excess body fat, particularly visceral fat around the organs, can negatively impact heart health through hormonal and inflammatory changes. This can speed the development of stiff arteries, arterial damage, high blood pressure, and heart disease over time. Both cholesterol and blood sugar levels are important cardiovascular risk factors. Diet, exercise, sleep, limiting alcohol and stress can help regulate levels and reduce heart disease risk. The lungs are vital but underfunded organs that are taken for granted until disease like COVID-19 impacts them. Proper breathing is key to life, but also connects to mental state and health. Ancient practices recognized the spiritual importance of breath. Modern medicine continues to uncover the intricacies of lung function. Breathing involves both inhaling and exhaling. During inhalation, the diaphragm muscle contracts and moves downward, expanding the rib cage, which allows air to be drawn in. Exhalation is a more passive process as the muscles relax and the lungs deflate. However, there is a problem with this setup. Each inhale mixes with some amount of stale air remaining in the lungs from the previous exhale. This reduces the oxygen content that reaches the air sacs. The lungs have an intricate internal structure that increases surface area for gas exchange. They also play roles in pH balance and immunity. Scientists have found that some animals can absorb oxygen through their anuses, though this ability in humans would be an unusual superpower. The lung's main entry point, the trachea, is also the food liquid intake tube, creating a risk of choking or aspirating foreign substances which can cause pneumonia. The lungs must also defend against pathogens and irritants. Mechanical ventilation and ECMO have helped support breathing when the lungs cannot function on their own, such as with polio or COVID-19. Earlier devices like iron lungs were manually operated ventilators used prior to modern options. Proper posture, nasal breathing, diaphragmatic breathing, and relaxing the shoulders can help optimize the breathing process and its benefits. Chronic mouth breathing or shallow chest breathing are less effective. The passage discusses various aspects of lung and bone health. It stresses the importance of proper breathing technique, pollutant avoidance, and maintaining bone density. For lungs, it recommends abdominal breathing to improve breathing control and reduce stress. It also suggests minimizing indoor air pollutants and keeping plants to improve air quality. For bones, it explains how bone density peaks in your 30s and declines after. It stresses the importance of calcium, vitamin D, exercise, and avoiding the misconception that milk is essential for strong bones. It then focuses on knee health, describing knees as overworked joints prone to injury from twisting motions. It explains proprioception and how balance exercises can improve this, protecting the knees. In summary, the passage provides tips for maintaining lung, bone, and knee health through proper breathing, nutrition, pollutant avoidance, exercise, and balance training to improve proprioception. The overall message is promoting whole body health through lifestyle factors. Here are the key points from the passage. Walking and movement can cause problems for the spine, in addition to load weight bearing. When the heel strikes the ground during walking, the knee flexes 5 to 6 degrees to allow the quad muscles to absorb some of the impact energy entering the body. As the ball of the foot pushes off the ground, the quad muscle contracts to create force against the ground for propulsion. This force travels up the leg and into the spine. Our ancestors evolving to walk on 2 legs means all impact force from walking enters the body at a single point in the heel. The muscles in the lower legs help absorb this force traveling towards the spine to offset it and protect the joints. One's individual gait or manner of walking can impact how force is distributed and whether it causes more or less stress on the spine. So in summary, the basic act of walking and bipedal locomotion introduces impact forces that travel up the body into the spine. Proper muscle function and individual gait patterns can help absorb and manage these forces to reduce spinal stress and problems over time. Our eyes are very limited in what they can see, only detecting a tiny fraction of the full electromagnetic spectrum. This is because evolution has optimized our vision for survival, not wide-spectrum detection. When our eyes move during tasks like reading, our vision is effectively blind. However, the brain covers this up through a process called saccadic masking, deleting blurred images to make our vision seem smooth. Images formed on our retinas are actually upside down, yet our brain correctly flips the images for us to perceive right side up. This flipping ability has to be learned. The construction of our eyes shows the messiness of evolution. Mistakes were made that had to be worked around. For example, parts of our brain tissue, like the retina, ended up outside the skull without protection. Over time, wear and tear on our eyes is inevitable as tissues degrade. Bad posture and device use can also strain eyes and cause issues like text neck. Taking measures to protect eye health is important. In summary, it outlines some of the limitations and imperfections in our visual system from an evolutionary perspective, as well as tips to help maintain eye health over the long run. The passage describes some odd aspects of human eye anatomy, such as the retina being positioned facing inward rather than outward, requiring light to travel through multiple layers before reaching the light-sensitive rods and cones. This leaves a blind spot where the optic nerve passes through the retina. Blood vessels also sit in front of the retina, increasing risks of diseases like diabetic retinopathy. The extraocular muscles and drainage system for fluid in the eye can become blocked, impairing vision. Overall, the passage critiques certain flaws in human eye design that make the eyes more susceptible to diseases and vision problems compared to other animal eyes. Increased screen time and less natural light exposure are thought to contribute to the rise in myopia, nearsightedness among children and teens. Myopia can lead to long-term issues like glaucoma and macular degeneration. To protect eye health, it's recommended to follow the 20-20-20 rule of taking breaks from screens by looking at distant objects every 20 minutes. Getting natural light exposure outside is also beneficial. Constant near focus on devices doesn't allow the eye muscles and lens to relax. This can cause eye strain and headaches. Activities that provide optic flow, like cycling, help relax the visual system by engaging the parasympathetic nervous system. Rare tribes like the Moken, who spend lots of time diving, have adapted to see clearly underwater through changes in their lenses and pupils. Staring at the sun can damage the retina, possibly causing a condition called solar retinopathy with permanent vision loss. Rubbing the eyes can deform the eyeball shape over time and possibly lead to a condition called keratoconus. It can also cause temporary phosphenes or visual effects. Floaters are normal debris in the vitreous humor, but increased floaters could signal a detached retina requiring immediate medical attention. Contact lenses reduce oxygen to the cornea, so sleeping in them risks eye infections and swelling. It's advisable to remove them before sleeping. The passage discusses the biology and function of the human ear. It describes how sound waves enter the outer ear and move through the ear canal to vibrate the eardrum. 3 small bones, hammer, anvil, stirrup, amplify these vibrations and transmit them to the cochlea in the inner ear. Within the cochlea are tiny hair cells that convert the vibrations into electrical signals sent to the brain. Exposure to loud noise can damage these delicate hair cells and cause permanent hearing loss. The passage recommends limiting headphone use to 60 minutes at 60% volume to avoid damage. Other topics covered include how the ear contributes to balance in addition to hearing, how different frequencies are detected within the cochlea's spiral shape, and examples of temporary versus permanent hearing damage. The summary highlights key parts of ear anatomy and function discussed in the passage. Andy's colleagues warned him about strange occurrences in their lab, but Andy was skeptical and believed there must be a scientific explanation. The culprit turned out to be the lab's new extractor fan, which hummed at 18.9 Hz, just below the range of human hearing. Sounds at this low frequency can cause anxiety, dizziness, and visual distortions by interfering with eye vibrations. Many reported hauntings may actually be caused by low-frequency sounds from equipment. The summary then discusses several topics related to hearing: how blindness can enhance hearing abilities through echolocation, how yawning and chewing help equalize ear pressure, dangers of using Q-tips in the ears, and how the semicircular canals and ear stones help maintain balance. It recommends exercises like standing on one leg with varying visual focus to train the vestibular system and improve balance over time. In general, it discusses several interesting scientific details about the inner workings of the ear and balance. Here are some key points about adjusting body posture to help with seasickness. Sit upright and keep your head and shoulders level. Avoid leaning over or looking downward, as this can exacerbate nausea and dizziness. Sit in the center of the vessel to minimize rolling and pitching motions. Being near the middle helps match your inner ear's movements with the boat's motion. Avoid rapid head movements. Turn your whole body slowly instead of just twisting at the neck. Sudden movements can disrupt your balance. Gaze at the horizon or a stationary object in the distance. Keeping your eyes fixed on something that's not moving helps dampen conflicting signals from your visual and inner ear systems. Consider acupressure bands that apply gentle pressure to P6 points on the inner wrists. This has been shown to relieve nausea for some by stimulating Naguan acupuncture points. Maintain good posture, whether sitting or standing. Brace yourself lightly by keeping knees bent and core engaged. Tensing muscles can sometimes help lock in your sense of balance. The key is to adjust your body position and movements in a way that minimizes conflicting signals between your visual, vestibular, and proprioceptive senses when on board a moving vessel. Keeping relatively still and upright can help reduce motion sickness. For many, bloody nose risks choking on blood or diarrhea from swallowed blood. Applying pressure to Little's area or Kieselbach's plexus in the nose can stem bleeding. Ice wrapped in cloth against nostrils also helps constrict blood vessels. Nose hairs, cilia, and larger vibrissae help filter air and prevent infection. Plucking them risks infection entering through openings. Rarely, a nose infection could spread to the brain. Decongestants constrict nasal blood vessels to reduce stuffiness. Alternatives include steam inhalation or nasal irrigation with purified water to avoid infection risk. Menthol or tactile maneuvers can also help drainage. Nasal congestion and rhinorrhea, runny nose, protect nasal passages from drying out and infection. Snot production increases to flush out pathogens when sick. Yellow or green mucus indicates active infection. The nasal cycle alternates, which nostril is congested every few hours by engorging lining with blood, aiding humidity and protection. This is normally unnoticed, but explains blockages when sick. Sinuses drain upwards against gravity, risking reflux into other sinuses. Their drainage involves drilling holes in the skull. Their main role is steady mucus supply for protection rather than emptying. Here is a summary of the key points from the passage. The maxillary sinus sits behind and below the nose, so if its opening was at the bottom instead of the top, mucus would drain into the mouth, creating an uncomfortable situation. Microcilia, tiny hairs, move mucus to the appropriate drainage holes to prevent flooding. The holes at the top serve as overflows, like in sinks. Bottom holes could dry out sinus linings and cause blockages. Smell detection involves olfactory neurons in the nose detecting chemical particles in the air. This information is conveyed to the brain for processing. The system regenerates every 6 weeks. Loss of smell can be temporary from colds, infections, or signal health issues. Smell training by daily sniffing scents can potentially restore the sense over weeks, months. Scents elicit specific memories and moods processed by the olfactory bulb and brain. The passage emphasizes how smell is more complex than realized and crucial for well-being. In summary, the passage explains the anatomical reasons for sinus openings being at the top rather than bottom, details how smell detection works, notes causes and remedies for losing smell, and underscores smell's importance through memory and mood association. Olfactory neurons, also known as dendritic extensions, process smells within the mucus-lined nasal passage and react to different odors. The sense of smell is strongly connected to memory. One pathway in the brain processes innate odor responses related to survival, like detecting smoke. Another involves learned associations between smells and experiences. Certain smells can evoke appetite, like the aroma of freshly baked goods triggering hunger. These are hardwired responses that help ensure survival. The tongue has around 8,000 taste buds containing receptors for the basic tastes of sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and umami. Contrary to old myths, tastes are not detected in distinct zones of the tongue. Taste requires smell and the chemical breakdown of foods by saliva. Without this, the tongue cannot fully perceive flavors. Certain enzymes in foods like pineapple can digest the tongue itself, causing sensations. The tongue can be misled by flavors lingering on its surface or synesthetic influences from other senses. It produces perceptions of taste that are not always accurate to what is currently in the mouth. The appearance of the tongue can provide clues about underlying health issues or disease elsewhere in the body. Changes in color, texture, or coatings should not be ignored. A strawberry-colored tongue could indicate an iron, B12, or folate deficiency in some cases. In children, it could be a sign of a streptococcal infection. A white-coated tongue is usually a sign of oral candidiasis, a yeast infection which can be treated with antifungals prescribed by a doctor. Charles Spence conducted experiments showing that sound can alter the perception of taste. In one experiment, participants rated Pringle chips as tasting fresher when the crunch sound was amplified. This demonstrated that sound alone can change taste. Spence also found that strawberry mousse tastes sweeter from a white container than black, and coffee seems less sweet from a white mug than a clear one. His research helped establish the link between multisensory perceptions and flavor. The Miracel's berry fruit can make sour foods like lime taste sweet, deceiving taste buds through its active compound miraculin. Sinus issues can also distort taste, making things taste foul. Spicy foods activate pain receptors on the tongue through capsaicin, creating a sensation akin to benign masochism. Sweating and other physiological responses help cool the body. Dairy can help reduce the heat from capsaicin better than water. Touch receptors are spread throughout the body and can elicit diverse emotions when activated in different areas. Touch is a more complex sense than others due to its wide distribution and response types. The sense of touch has limitations in that it relies on physical pressure and cannot directly detect incoming light, sound, or chemicals. However, it is better than other senses at investigating one's own body. The skin acts as armor for the body. As the largest organ, it protects against water loss, radiation from the sun, and foreign intruders. The epidermis and dermis have layers that regulate moisture, contain blood vessels and immune cells, and provide elasticity through proteins like collagen. The skin hosts a diverse microbiome of over 1,000 bacterial species. Many are harmless and contribute to skin health, while some can cause issues like acne or eczema if their balance is disrupted. Lifestyle factors like hygiene, stress, diet, and environment can impact the skin microbiome. Certain bacteria on the skin produce odors through their metabolic byproducts as they feed on sweat and oils. While body odor is usually harmless, an imbalance in bacteria can lead to conditions. Proper hygiene is important, but excessive cleansing may also disrupt the skin's natural balance. Overall, the skin is a complex living system that relies on equilibrium among its layers and microbial populations to function as a protective barrier. The human sex organs provide pleasure, but also have limitations and health risks. The male testicles hang externally for temperature regulation, as sperm production works best at a slightly lower temperature than the rest of the body. This external location leaves them vulnerable, however. The testicles are suspended in an adjustable hammock called the scrotum. The scrotum muscles can expand and contract to adapt to temperatures, regulating the environment for optimal sperm production. While sex organs offer benefits, their exposure and use also brings problems that can in some cases be dangerous or even deadly if not properly managed for health and safety. A cautious understanding is warranted. The testicles begin their descent from the abdomen during fetal development, traveling down to the scrotum. This process can lead to hernias if the pathways stay open. The vas deferens tube connecting the testes to the urethra can also cause issues if it becomes tangled with other structures. If the testes fail to descend fully, it's called cryptorchidism, and surgery is often needed. This condition increases cancer risk later in life. It's important for men to do regular self-exams of their testicles to check for lumps or swelling that could indicate cancer. Knowing what's normal is key. Testicular torsion, where the spermatic cord twists, cuts off blood flow and causes extreme pain. Surgery is often needed within 6 hours to save the testicle. Environmental factors like heat, tight underwear, toxins, and stress can all impact sperm quality and fertility. Taking breaks in hot jobs and staying active is recommended. The prostate poses plumbing issues, as it can swell and obstruct urine flow with age. Many men face prostate problems or cancer risks later in life due to this arrangement. The prostate gland tries hard to remain the center of attention, like a needy fungus. Men should see a doctor if they have any concerning symptoms or issues with their prostate, as early detection could mean the difference between life and death. The penis serves both urinary and reproductive functions through a combined design. However, this makes it vulnerable to fractures during vigorous sex. The tubular structure inside can tear, leading to painful swelling and bruising. The close proximity of female reproductive and urinary organs increases risks of infections transferring between the areas. The short female urethra is particularly susceptible. Maintaining good hygiene and urinating after sex can help reduce infection risks. Untreated infections could damage the kidney. The uterus is an amazing organ that grows immensely to incubate babies. While the monthly menstrual cycle is inconvenient and painful, it allows the body to carefully screen embryos before implantation in the hostile uterine environment. This protects the mother's health and ensures only the fittest embryos can survive. Between the uterus and embryo, the endometrium becomes thicker to protect the mother by delaying the placenta from accessing the bloodstream. This gives her more time to determine if the embryo is viable. Meanwhile, the embryo tries to connect its placenta quickly to tap into the rich blood supply. As a monthly solution, if implantation does not occur, the endometrium sloughs off along with the uterine lining. This is a form of natural selection, but can lead to conditions like heavy periods or endometriosis. During menstruation, the uterus undergoes ischemia, a painful compression of blood vessels due to muscular contraction, contributing to period pain. Eggs must cross a small gap between the ovaries and fallopian tubes. They usually connect with tentacles called fimbria that sweep them into the tubes. If fertilized eggs get lost here, it can lead to ectopic pregnancy in the fallopian tubes, requiring emergency surgery. Rarely, a lost embryo may implant in the liver, which is not viable. In extremely rare abdominal ectopic pregnancies, if the fetus dies and calcifies inside the mother's body, it forms a stone baby, or lithopedion, that remains encased for decades, sometimes without issues. Frequent urination or urinary incontinence could indicate your bladder is not functioning properly and has shrunk to accommodate frequent small volumes of urine. This creates a vicious cycle where you feel the urge to pee more often with a smaller bladder capacity. By trying to limit fluid intake to avoid frequent urination, you actually make the problem worse. Highly concentrated urine can irritate the bladder and provoke more urgency. The healthier approach is bladder retraining over 3 months or more to gradually increase capacity and train the bladder to hold urine for longer periods. Sitting down to pee, especially for men, provides better flow dynamics and relaxes the pelvic floor muscles compared to standing. Squatting or hovering over public toilets raises the risk of incomplete emptying due to tight pelvic floor muscles. It is very unlikely to get a disease from a public toilet, but covering the seat with paper provides extra protection if needed. Overall, relaxing the muscles and allowing natural flow is healthier than straining. The internal biological clock or circadian rhythm dictates many daily biological and behavioral rhythms like sleep, mood, temperature regulation, hormone release, etc. It is governed by a group of neurons in the brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. Light exposure, especially morning sunlight, is a key way our circadian rhythms synchronize with the 24-hour day-night cycle. Lack of light exposure can disrupt sleep patterns. The circadian rhythm influences sleep in a cyclical nature, alternating between REM sleep, eye movement, and deeper NREM sleep stages throughout the night. Each cycle takes around 90 minutes. Most people need 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night on average to feel refreshed. Age, genetics, and lifestyle factors influence individual needs. Waking up in the middle of deep NREM sleep stages can make people feel groggy, so it's best to wake up naturally just before the alarm to avoid disrupted sleep cycles. Getting the right amount of sleep is important for health, mood, and metabolic function. Sleep is important for memory consolidation, brain waste removal, immune function, tissue regeneration, emotional regulation, and more. Not getting enough sleep can increase stress hormones and disrupt blood sugar levels, raising risks of heart disease and other issues. Sleep deprivation experiments show that after several days of no sleep, people experience hallucinations, mood changes, impaired cognitive function, and parts of their brain essentially switch to sleep mode to compensate. Maintaining a consistent sleep-wake schedule helps regulate circadian rhythms and the release of hormones like melatonin that control sleepiness. Deviating from this schedule regularly can disrupt sleep quality and duration. Morning or evening preferences, chronotypes, are influenced by genes and determine peak alertness times. Forcing a night owl to wake early for work against their biological rhythm can negatively impact health over time. The traditional 9-to-5 work schedule was popularized in the 1920s, but may not suit all individuals given variations in chronotypes. More flexible schedules could help match work hours to biological needs. The key messages are around the importance of sleep for health and well-being, the biological drivers of circadian rhythms and sleep-wake preferences, and how disruptions to these natural patterns through things like inconsistent schedules or prolonged deprivation can take a toll over time. Mild nighttime dehydration is common and can impact mood and alertness in the morning. Drinking a glass of water first thing can help counter this. Checking phones first thing exposes the brain to distractions and stress before fully waking up. It's better to wait 30 minutes before using technology. Low blood sugar from overnight fasting leaves people irritable. Eating fruit in the morning can restore energy levels. Morning stretching helps wake up stiff joints and counteract effects of sleep. Night shift work disrupts circadian rhythms and increases health risks like cancer and heart disease. It takes several days to adjust to switching shifts. Optimizing sleep between shifts and using strategies like dark rooms, noise reduction, and avoiding late caffeine can help reduce fatigue. Parasomnias like sleepwalking pose injury risks and demonstrate the thin line between sleep and wakefulness. REM sleep disorders can cause uncontrolled movements. Sleep paralysis involves temporary paralysis during waking, sometimes accompanied by frightening hallucinations. Obstructive sleep apnea involves throat obstruction during sleep, disrupting breathing and sleep quality. Sleep is important for health and well-being, but snoring and other issues can disrupt sleep quality. Common culprits include swollen adenoids, tonsils, excess weight, and aging. Structurally, the neck is not well designed and has little space, which can contribute to sleep apnea. This may be the trade-off for having a big brain and speech ability. There are several lifestyle factors that can help ensure quality sleep: limiting caffeine intake, taking short 20-minute naps, eating dinner earlier and avoiding heavy spicy meals before bed, steering clear of sleeping pills and alcohol, winding down activities a couple hours before bed, and reducing light screen time at night. It's important to gradually slow down physically and mentally in the evenings to allow the body and mind to properly transition to sleep. Lights, phones, and screens can disrupt sleep if used too close to bedtime due to their stimulating effects. Bananas can provide different health benefits depending on ripeness. Greener bananas are higher in resistant starch, prebiotic fiber, and have a lower glycemic index, while riper bananas are easier to digest. The passage discusses the human immune system and its role in protecting the body from threats like bacteria, viruses, and other pathogens. The immune system consists of innate and adaptive responses. The innate response is a general first line of defense, while the adaptive response produces targeted antibodies and immune cells. The immune system undergoes an initial training period in the womb and early childhood to learn self from non-self. Getting sick as a child helps it build immunity to different viruses and bugs. While very effective overall, the immune system can sometimes overreact, leading to autoimmune diseases, allergies, or failure to detect cancer cells. Factors like diet, lack of exposure, and antibiotics may influence this. Simple lifestyle changes like a fiber-rich diet, moderate exercise, good sleep, and limiting alcohol can help optimize the existing immune system rather than trying to artificially boost it. Certain foods like fruits and vegetables also contain beneficial plant compounds. So in summary, the passage discusses how the immune system functions and develops, as well as some basic ways one can support its healthy functioning through lifestyle habits rather than overloading it. The overuse of antibiotics has led to the rise of antibiotic-resistant bacteria, known as superbugs. If not addressed, this could result in a post-antibiotic apocalypse where common infections become deadly again. We have been irresponsibly overprescribing antibiotics, which gives bacteria opportunities to evolve resistance. They are also overused in livestock, contributing to the problem. Some estimates suggest antibiotic resistance could kill 10 million people per year if no solution is found. It would make treatments like chemotherapy and surgeries very risky. Alternatives are being researched, such as using bacteriophages, viruses that target bacteria, and antifungal compounds. Better stewardship of antibiotic use is also important. The article expresses hope that solutions can be found, but notes it is a serious problem threatening to spiral out of control without action. Overall, it presents the rise of antibiotic resistance as a major public health crisis, if not adequately addressed. Hygiene hypothesis suggests too clean of an environment may negatively impact immune system development as it doesn't get proper exposure to microbes. However, relaxing hygiene isn't the answer. Proper exposure through normal activities like playing outdoors is sufficient. Simple practices like hand washing, covering cough sneezes, and staying home when sick can help limit spread of pathogens. Allergies exist on a spectrum from mild to life-threatening. While some factors may be out of our control, an allergy-friendly lifestyle can help minimize reactions. Cancer is the unfortunate downside to our improved ability to avoid other causes of death. It occurs due to random mutations and rogue cells that refuse to stop growing. While its roots are within our own cells, treatment often involves attacking the body. Lifestyle choices like not smoking, limiting alcohol, healthy diet, exercise, and cancer screenings can all help lower cancer risk to an extent. No single cure exists due to cancer's diversity. The immune system does remarkably well given the trillions of challenges it faces daily, but isn't perfect. Small practices of hygiene and self-care can support its efforts at keeping us well. The passage describes a doctor's experience certifying their first patient death. As a young doctor at age 24, they had observed death but never performed the certification themselves. When asked to certify an elderly woman's death from pneumonia, they felt a solemn sense of responsibility. The doctor followed the required steps, checking for reflexes, shining a light in the eyes, listening with a stethoscope. For 4 minutes of listening, their mind filled with thoughts about the woman's life they did not know. They felt profound responsibility for her in that moment. Once confirmed, the doctor covered the body gently. While more deaths would follow in their career, they acknowledged each is more than a task. It is an encounter with a fundamental force of life, and an inevitable part of medicine and aging. The experience staying with them in their career, knowing death would one day come for them as well. The author acknowledges that most people haven't seen a dead body and find the concept of death challenging. We often use euphemisms like passed away to soften the reality. However, facing mortality is important. The body will eventually break down and be recycled. Avoiding the reality of death can be harmful. Talking about death can paradoxically provide comfort by reducing fear and uncertainty. It allows people to have important conversations and make practical end-of-life decisions. Clinically dead means not breathing or having blood flow, but this can potentially be reversible in some cases through resuscitation or other methods. True biological death occurs when there is no brain activity remaining. After death, the body begins to decompose through the processes of autolysis, self-digestion by enzymes, and putrefaction, digestion by bacteria. This eventually breaks down the tissues. Donating one's body to science can allow it to still be used to teach and train medical students and practitioners, potentially helping others even after death. While the details of what happens after death are still not fully understood, appreciating the miracle and preciousness of life is important. An insect like an ant unwittingly brings poisoned food back to its anthill, poisoning the entire colony and killing the queen. The narrative then comments that in this view, life is not that bad after all. It seems the summary is providing a hypothetical scenario where an insect brings poisoned food back to its colony, unintentionally killing the entire colony, including the queen. This is presented as a way of suggesting that individual life, while imperfect, is still preferable to potential unintended consequences that could destroy an entire social system. Here are the summaries of the key points from the provided section. Diet and brain. Diet impacts brain function. A healthy diet supports cognitive function and protects against decline. Specific foods like fish high in DHA and EPA support brain health. Gut and diet. Diet strongly influences the gut microbiome. Fiber, prebiotics, and probiotics promote a healthy gut. Certain foods like cheese may cause constipation in some. Heart and diet. Diet is a major factor in cardiovascular health and disease. A diet low in saturated fat and cholesterol while high in omega-3 fats supports heart health. Specific foods like fish, nuts, and berries are especially heart health. Exercise and brain. Physical exercise protects brain health, supports cognitive function, and may delay age-related decline. It also reduces stress and improves mood. Exercise and heart. Exercise strengthens the heart and cardiovascular system. It lowers risk of cardiovascular disease, hypertension, and stroke. Both aerobic exercise and strength training are important. Exercise and immune system. Exercise primes the immune system and enhances immunity. It reduces risk and severity of infections. Both sustained moderate exercise and occasional high-intensity interval training benefit immunity. Breathing. Breathing is crucial for life. Problems can range from difficulty breathing to respiratory failure. Good breathing involves correct posture, diaphragmatic breathing, and nasal breathing when possible. Breathing exercises provide benefits. Pain. The brain plays a major role in pain perception. Chronic pain involves neuroplastic changes in the brain. Strategies like meditation and descending pain modulation can help manage pain. Surgery and mindfulness-based approaches also show promise for treating chronic pain. Let me know if you need any part summarized in more detail. I've hit the key highlights, but could expand on specific areas as well. Here is a summary of the key points about the immune system. The immune system has both innate and adaptive components. The innate system provides initial defenses, while the adaptive system learns to identify specific threats. Adaptive immunity involves B cells, T cells, antibodies, and immunological memory. B cells produce antibodies, T cells detect pathogen-infected cells. Allergies occur when the immune system mistakenly identifies harmless substances as threats. Antibiotics can disrupt the microbiome and weaken the innate immune system over time. Autoimmune diseases occur when the adaptive system mistakenly attacks the body's own tissues. Examples include rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis. Cancer evades immune detection through various means, and immunotherapy seeks to overcome this. Diet, antibiotics, hygiene levels, and exposure to pathogens early in life can influence the development and strength of the immune system later in life. The immune system protects against infectious diseases and plays various roles in tissue repair and homeostasis. A balanced immune function is important for overall health.